Welcome to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at BTC. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so primarily what we are still looking for here is the potential of actually having this structure developing here as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the primary way that I'm still looking at this for as long as we remain above this 28,439 level. Now, there is another way we can count this move, and we discussed this in the previous video. It's a bit more unorthodox, but we could also count this 1, 2, 3, 4, and then having an extension in the fifth wave. So we need to just be aware that if this has had an extension in the fifth wave, this could actually mark the end of that C wave, in which case we could start to break down in a 5-wave move, or alternatively, this could actually mean that we see a 3-wave move down where we actually look to come back into this 28,354 to this 25,997 and still look to actually maintain that bullish scenario where we're looking for that possibility of a break out of this zone. Now, alternatively, if we do actually manage to hold this 28,439, what I'd be looking for would be that possibility of a fifth wave up. Now, our target area for this would be this 31,988 to this 31,251. Now, there is an interesting level here. If I come back out onto the higher time frames, we can see that we do have these two swing highs sitting here towards this 31,765 and this 32,400 level. So going to be keeping an eye on those levels if we do actually look to push to the upside here. So primarily within this, we are looking at a possible fourth wave and a fifth wave. Now, looking at this current structure here, it's possible that this could be something like this as a W. This comes up here for an X, and then we see another 3-wave move down here, looking to push us into this 382 at this 28,981, or alternatively a bit lower down here to this 28,439. However, it is also possible we could be looking at something here developing as a triangle, where we look at this as an A wave, we get a B wave, C wave, D wave, E wave, and then we look for that push to the upside here. As well as that, obviously, within the lower time frame count here, we know we can't also rule out the idea that this whole move here could be something like an A. This could be A, B, C, D, E for a triangle, and then we look to push down. So I'm still going to be keeping an eye out for that idea of actually getting a push down towards this 28,981 to this 28,439 as a possible fourth wave, looking for this fifth wave. The key thing is going to be what happens after this. If this move actually completes to the upside and we get a 5-wave move, what I'd be looking for is structure to the downside. If we get a 3-wave move down, then potentially we have continuation to the upside. If we start to develop 5-wave structure down here, we'd have to be careful that we don't end up forming a bigger 5-wave move down for that flat idea. So we're going to go over that in a second, but we're going to just go over the 2 ways that I'm looking at this count at the moment. So now if there is extension within this, we were talking about this as 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 in here. Now, if this is the case, what we are looking for is the same sort of idea, except we're going to get an additional fourth and a fifth here. So what I'm looking out for here is that we have this as a fourth wave, we push up for a fifth. Same target areas are going to be applying here. 31,916 to this 31,221 area. So still keeping an eye on this high of this 31,765. And then as well as that, what we'd be looking for is an additional fourth wave to the downside, looking to actually settle here somewhere between this 30k and this 28,288. Now, the reason why I prefer the other count to this one is we would have had a very shallow, or we would have had a really small wave 2 here in comparison to the secondary wave 2. This can sometimes happen, but it's more common that we get the higher degree wave 2 being bigger than the lower degree wave 2. So we're going to have to just, keep an eye on it and actually see whether we get an additional fourth and a fifth here, or whether we just get that single fourth and a fifth. Now, we also need to just bear in mind, at the moment, all we have is a 3-wave move up. And even though we have hit that 1618, what we need to be cautious of is if this is just A, B, and C, and we actually fail to develop that fourth and a fifth here, this is just a corrective move to the upside. Now, if we do just get a corrective move to the upside like this, potentially what we can do is actually still come back down and find support above this low here of this 24,800. But we'd have to just be on the lookout that this in itself isn't actually developing into a flat correction where we could see something like this for a Y wave flat. So we're going to go over that idea as well. That would actually tie into the idea of this W, X, and a Y here. But what we'd be saying in this case is that our X wave would actually still be over here, and this would be A, B, and then we'd be looking for that C wave as a Y wave. Now, if we did get a move like this, what we'd actually be looking at as a potential targets here would be this 0.618 here at this 25,425, and then the 1-to-1 would actually be down here towards this 23,717. So I'll be keeping an eye on this. This is not my primary expectation that this is a flat here in the Y wave, but it is still technically possible for as long as we actually fail to develop an additional fifth wave up here. We need to just be on the lookout that we don't see this look to break down in a bigger way here. Now, the alternative way we were discussing this was actually saying that this is a X wave still in play, and this is looking at this move as W, X, and then looking for this Y wave to the downside. So I'm actually going to remove some of these target boxes here. Now, if we just have this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, we've actually come past this typical zone we look for a C wave as a flat correction. What I would be on the lookout for here would be potentially moving up to this 2618, which would align with actually sweeping that high at this 31,988. Obviously 32k going to be quite an interesting level if we do actually move up into that zone. So I need to just keep an eye on this. If we do get this push to the upside here, this would tie into the idea that we were looking for this as a flat correction here. Now, the problem that I have with this is, if we do start to push up here, particularly if we take this high of this 3127, what I would actually be looking for is whether this is potentially going to be, instead of a W, an X, and a Y, what we could actually have is this could be an A, this could be a B wave as a flat, and then we could actually see a 5-wave move to the downside. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. If we do move up into that 31k region, then we have that possibility of this actually being a flat correction. Now, if we actually take this high that I said here of this 3127, what we could actually see is, instead of this move being a regular flat, if it is going to be a flat, what we could see is this develop into a irregular flat. Now, as an irregular flat, the targets are slightly different. So if we had to see this move push up here to this 31k region, what we'd be then looking out for would be, if we take that high, we could actually see potentially a move back down to this 1-to-1 at this 25,911 if it's going to be a running flat. Alternatively, if we push down deeper, what we could see is price rather be gravitated towards this 24,814 to this 23,137 level. So we're going to have to be very cautious with how we progress with this move. What I want to see here is good structure develop. At the moment, we need some more waves here for us to say that this is a completed 5-wave move, and then it's going to be key what happens from there. Like I said before, if we get this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then what we're looking for is how we retrace. If we just get a 3-wave move, what we could actually then see is price look to break to the upside. If, however, we start to develop 5-wave structure to the downside, we need to be cautious of that idea of a bigger breakdown here, where this becomes A, this becomes B, and then we get a bigger C wave to the downside. Now, if we did get a structure like that, that would tie into our higher time frame count, which is looking at this move as a completed structure into the high here, where we're talking about this potentially being an A wave or a wave 1, and then we're looking for a wave 2 or a B wave. So if we did get something along these lines where this becomes A, this becomes B, and then we get a bigger C wave down like this, this would make more sense that these two waves are together, because if we were looking at it in the original way where we're saying 1, 2, 1, 2, once we start to progress out and get as big as this, it starts to become less likely that this 1 and this 2 are together, just due to the time relationship between them. But we're still not at that point where it's unrealistic, so we need to just keep an eye on it. It is possible that we could have the other alternative in play still, where we are looking at this as 1, 2, 1, 2, and this is viable for as long as we hold 21,567. The alternative is that if we are completed here, we could argue that this move was a W, X, Y, X, and a Z, and then we completed, this is our wave 2 completed here, and we're looking for a bigger push towards this 51k region. But once again, we need to see more evidence. We need to see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 come back in 3 waves, find support above this low, and then look for that continuation to the upside here. Looking at the daily CPR, what we can see is that we are actually finding support above these central CPR lines, and what I'm looking for here is that if we are going to look to push to the upside, what we could see is that 5th wave could actually align with coming into some of these higher points here. Now, what I would be looking for is the potential that we would start to see price react to the upside and push up into this zone of this fifth wave if we're looking at this as a completed fourth. Like I said, there's a potential that within this we could argue A, B, C, D, we get a move down for an E wave, and then we look to push up for this fifth wave here. And if we do move up here, what I'd be looking for would be this potential of moving into this S3 here, this 31,384, and we have this S4 up here towards this 31,765. If this fifth wave does look to potentially truncate, what we could also argue is that we could actually move up into this 30,938 level, though primarily I would be looking for these higher zones. Now, if however we do see price actually just form a three-wave move here, even if we do move up to this S1 again at this 30,410 or this S2 at this 30,950, what we could actually see is price still look to come back down into these lower ranges. So some interesting targets lower down here that we have is the R1 at this 29,444, and then this one is particularly interesting to me because it aligns with our 0.382 retracement, which would be here at this 29,000, pretty much on the dot. Now we also do have this R3 line sitting towards this 28,468 level, which could tie into actually seeing a deeper retracement to that 50% zone. So I would be keeping an eye out on this level. As well as that, if we do look to push to the upside here, we have this previous value area high, which is sitting towards the zone of this 31,245. So I would be keeping an eye on that as it aligns with the bottom of our box. Now moving over to the weekly pivot points, what we can see here is that we have met all the requirements. So once again, I would be looking for the possibility of finding support on these lines. If we move down, the S3 is sitting at this 29,230. That would align with a push down for another wave for a fourth wave. So I'd be keeping an eye on that level. As well as that, we do have the S2 sitting at this 28k, and then we have the S3 down here. Now if we look to have that other idea where we're talking about this being 1 2 3 4 5, and we actually look to break down directly, what I'd actually be looking at is there are a few naked points of control that are sitting within this typical support zone here. So we have obviously the central CPR lines are sitting towards this 0.786 retracement, just sitting here towards this 25,977. So if we do actually see price come back down here, I'd be very interested to see how we react around this level. Now, as well as that, slightly higher up here towards this 702, we have some weekly and daily naked points of control, as well as this current monthly one that we have here. So we'll be keeping an eye on that level as well if we do move down here. In between this golden pocket, we have the 26,994 to this 26,754. We have a weekly and a daily naked point of control in here as well. That would align with coming back into the channel. So I would be keeping an eye on that level if we do actually look to push down here. Now, if we do argue of a bigger breakdown here, we have the R1 sitting at this 25,147, R2 at this 23,926, and the lower level here of this 23,000 is our R3 line. Now, if we also just flip this over onto the monthly CPR, what we can see here is that we do have a S1 target line just below us where we currently are towards this 29,416. Now, the interesting thing about this is if we do maintain this as a fourth wave, what we could actually see is even if we do look to push down and we look to get back above this line, what we could see is that idea of this fifth wave coming in. Now we do have this S2 line sitting here at this 31,611 zone. So that would tie into coming into our target box here. And even if we do look to move up slightly higher, you know, we've got this previous high here, which would be looking at a swing high, 31,765 level. Now, if we did actually look to push up higher, we have the S3 sitting up here towards this 33,423 level. So be keeping an eye on that as well if we do see some extension in here and we continue to push to the upside. That would kind of tie into that idea of the extension count, where we could actually be looking for an additional fourth and a fifth, which would look to bring us up into these levels. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that if we do see price move up there. As well as that, you know, if we do see price move up into this and we get this as 1 2 3 4 and then we get a fifth wave up here, what I'd actually be looking out for would be that potential of price moving back down and actually looking to retest these central lines here. These would currently be sitting towards the 50% line off of our current target. If we had to move up higher here, this would be closer towards the 618 level. So I would be keeping an eye on that. It would be 50% would be the higher range of this if we did move up into this target here. So be keeping an eye on that. If we do actually look to break down here, we have those potentially as support sitting here towards this 27,805 to this 27,393 level. As well as that, if we are looking at that possibility of having a breakdown throughout the month, what we could see is this R1 line get tested here towards 25,428. We have this R2 line sitting here, it's 23,612, and we have this R3 line sitting down here towards this level of this 21,381. So I would be keeping an eye on that level if we do actually look to progress to the downside. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It is free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.